U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff told families of Israeli hostages there's no new progress in talks with Hamas. He called the situation complicated and said he understands their frustration. Witkoff shared that he too lost a child and he knows the pain they feel. He said Hamas is not honoring its commitments and that negotiations have been frustrating. Families desperate for answers urged the U.S. to do more. Many have set up a barbed wire protest camp to draw attention to the hostages' suffering. One family shared a video still showing their loved one weak and in poor condition. The push for a resolution is growing louder and more desperate. Let's have a look at what the relatives of hostages had to say.
Just came out of meeting with Mr. Steve Witkoff. It was very positive and appreciated that the fact that he sat with the families for over 2 hours, listening to every personal story and hearing each individual request, and he answered.
We spoke about the deal that is going to be all or nothing. We told him that nothing is not open for us. We said to him that it must be all of them immediately. All the thing that the matter things is actually the time. The matter of time is all the question. We saw our children are starving. We saw him there in the captivities. They will not be survive too much. It means that we have to make pressure by the government of the United States to make pressure not to stop until it's going to be done.
Now we go back to our guest discussion with Mark Sutherland. He's a geopolitical commentator. Thank you, Mark, for staying with us now. Now, given this emotional toll on families and growing protests, what role can public pressure play in influencing U.S. as well as international policy towards resolving this crisis?
Well, one of the issues that's going on is when you've got Canada, the UK, Australia et al. Then turning around and saying that we're going to recognize a Palestinian state in September, what that means is that Hamas is then actually achieving their goal in this propaganda war, which is the eighth front that Israel has to deal with. And basically they are then turning around and saying, great, all these other countries plus many others are agreeing with us. So in September at the UN, then they can recognize the two-state solution, and we will not, in all sincerity, then come to the negotiating table to release these hostages. The hostages need to be released immediately. If they wanted the war to end, then all they had to do was to release the hostages, the amount that are still alive, and also the dead bodies. My heart goes out to any of the families that are in this situation, which is extremely difficult. But this is a huge, I say it with utmost clarity, this is a huge propaganda war, and now we have Israel then has an international pylon. Now, very often, many countries have said we never negotiate with terrorists. The issue is this: is that the Hamas knows how to emotionally charge the situation, and which they are doing. And every time a country, including the UK, France, etc., then goes, right, we need to put pressure on Israel to stop this, because we are then going to negotiate a two-state, we wish to see a two-state discussion in the UN in September. What that does is then put negotiation in regard to the hostages, it then puts that back many steps, because Hamas then uses that again as a tool to get what they wish to achieve. You and I, as I have constantly said, we need many hours to go through a long history and a long discussion on this matter. But thanks, Azuma.
Thank you very much for joining us, Mark.